everyone and welcome back to the channel. We have Storm Kira blowing a hoolie outside, so I don't know, it's not so much Richard outdoors today, I'm afraid. My brother has a birthday coming up in a couple of weeks' time, and I've been racking my brains as to what to get him. He's very much into the outdoors and showing an interest in bushcraft. So, and I'll have to show this video after he's had his birthday. So I have bought him this. It's this make here. A couple of modifications I want to do to make it a little bit more personal is I want to treat this handle, and I think I'm going to use beeswax for that. It does have a little bit of a protective sleeve over there, but I want to try my hand for the first time at a bit of leatherwork, in that I'm going to make a protective, I think it's called an overswing collar. I'm going to make that out of leather, and I think that will come down to about here, and then I want to make a really nice slightly bigger actual blade protector on as well. I've just spent the last I don't know how long on YouTube just working out how to work with leather, really. I've got some it's just it's untanned, and I'm going to use various use a dye on it, and use a method to sort of soften it up to make this, first of all, the collar, and then I'll try my hand at making the sheath for the to protect the blade. Materials I'm still waiting for a few bits from eBay at the moment, but I'll just show you what I've got so far to work with the leather. I've got this here, which is a leather cutting tool. It's a rotary one, so you pull it away and you can use it to roll against the leather. I've already chopped off a piece from the main section and it works a treat, so that's been a useful purchase. Obviously I don't want the leather to remain this pure sort of very light brown colour, so I'm going to darken it with some water-based dye there. And then when the rest of my sort of tools arrive, I'm going to use this to help burnish the edges. It gives a nice smooth and sort of shiny finish to the edges of the leather. And then after treating it with a bit of extra weatherproofing, I'm going to shine it up with this carnauba cream here. Oh yes, and the other thing I didn't show on the other camera there, I've got some waxed linen dark brown thread as well for when I start. I'm going to use some stitching for the blade protector when I come to do that. And I'm going to round that all off by making some sort of a stamp, so I can put my brother's initials onto the work to actually prove it has the personal touch. But I'll just show you now. I've had a trial of that and I made a bit of a schoolboy error. So let's take a look at what I've done. Got this piece of leather. I softened it up by soaking it for about half an hour, plonked my stamp on top of it and put it in a vise and gave it a really good blast. But I just wanted to see whether it worked, so I took the stamp off, and his initials are AIDM, but that's what we came up with there. So unfortunately I've got to write the letters backwards, a bit like when an ambulance or a police car is chasing in the back window and you look through the mirror. They have to write it backwards on the front of the bonnet. So as I say, every day's a school day, and I'll be remaking this this stamp with my Dremel tool, so that it's the right way round, and I think everything's symmetrical in his initials, which is great, apart from the D, so that's the only one I'll have to think about. Anyway, let's get on with it. there's my softened bit of leather. Put that on there. Got my new stamp. And pop that on there. Before I start cutting into what is very precious and expensive leather, I want to make sure I get it right, because there's no turning back once you've started cutting into leather, unless you've got plenty spare, which I haven't. So what I'm going to do is make a template just out of paper, because you'll see on the axe here there's a curve where it attaches to the handle, and it's because the axe is forged. See, the curve on that side isn't exactly symmetrical with the curve, or the same with the curve on this side. The good thing is that any errors, minor errors that I might make, I'm just drawing the centre line on the piece of paper there, centre line of the axe shaft. Any minor errors that I might make, and they can only be minor errors, can be rectified with soaking the leather and sort of fine-tuning it and manipulating it into place, but I want to minimise the need to do that. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with that, and you can see how the different size of the axe. That's a slightly deeper cut than this one here, and that just shows there. That's a deeper curve than that side there. So at least I know that I'm vaguely accurate with it. And there you have it. I don't want it to be that long, but along the shaft there, that will pull together, because I'll get some lacing in there, so it nicely follows the contour of the axe there. And as you can see there, I'm managing to get the opposing curved bits about right, and I'm really pleased with that. I think I'll probably chop the paper about there. So I think that's the bit that takes the longest, because there are a few bits where I did have to just turn the camera off and get on with it. Brilliant. I'm pretty confident that if I don't have to make too many mistakes, that this might actually work. Right, so the last job I can really do until my tools and whatever arrive from eBay is dye my piece of leather, because I certainly don't want it to be that colour. I'm going to dye it now. I don't know quite, I've looked on a couple of things how to do this. I know to start with lines, let them dry, and then maybe swirl them up a bit for the second coat. I mean, the main thing is this is done with a lot of love and a lot of effort, and it won't look particularly professional in the end. I hope it looked good, but I just know that it will be appreciated by my brother if at least I do half a good job. Right. Good. I've got some beeswax, and I've been wanting to make sure that I treat the handle of this because it's pretty raw wood at the moment, and I reckon it feels quite porous, and I reckon it give it a lot of benefit to give it a coating of beeswax. So that's what I'm going to do first. So as I mentioned earlier, this isn't a £120 axe. If it was, I know my brother would never use it. So I've actually bought him something that's slightly cheaper in the hope that he will actually use it for what it's meant for, which is a bit of bushcraft, and that the leather strap is meant to take a bit of a beating. So there we are. That's a lovely thick coating of beeswax, and I'll probably let that soak in overnight and then give it another coat in the morning. It feels a lot more comfortable and a lot more pleasing to the eye. Great, next job. Well, it's had overnight now after the coating I gave it with the beeswax, and it's come out really nicely. I hope it comes out in the picture, but that is so much of a different finish than it was when I originally unpacked it, so I'm very pleased with that. Whilst I'm waiting for the eBay items to arrive, I have worked out that I've got some bits that I can do to prepare for the blade protector, so I'll get on with that for now. So we have the component pieces. This is the main sleeve, and then I've got two spacers that will go in there, followed by the next covering bit, and then I shall shape that to fold over with a snap fastener there. And so hopefully, I may just trim this bit off a little bit. The axe will sit like that, nicely housed. That bit pops on top, some nice stitching there, neaten up all these edges, snap fastener, boom, Bob's your uncle. And by the way, I'm really pleased at how my piece of leather for the overstrike collar has gone with the tanning. It's exactly the colour I wanted. So I'm now going to dye the rest of the axe protector. I'm going to get on with things now. I've got, that's just drying, so it looks very patchy at the moment. I've got my bits. I'm quite nervous about this, so I've actually made a list of the order I've got to do things. That's the blade, and then that's the overswing collar. So what I'll do is I'll film the lot. I'll think about the editing quite carefully, because I know people lose interest if these videos, much beyond sort of 25 minutes or so. So if I do miss anything out, that you see a jump or something like that, then just make a comment underneath. What did I do there? Or you shouldn't have done that. And I'll try and answer it, because I do get an awful lot of comments with all my 81 subscribers. Okay, time to get on with it. Coffee first. It is freezing today. Right, I'm going to put 3 of these lovely copper rivets through. They just fit with the washers, and I've got a setting tool and a doming hole in it as well. Never used it. Another eBay special. Once I start drilling and grooving in here, there's no turning back. And I'm pretty nervous. Okay. Oh, it's got light. My Aldi drill, I didn't realise it had a light as well. Go to Aldi to buy some broccoli and you come back with a lathe. Amazing place. I might just take a mill off these with my clippers. Find it one of the kids' bike tyres. Right. Ping, ping, ping. I made that about 3 minutes ago and it's already going cold, so it's freezing in here. Okay, time to do some doming. Go. And we're in, number one. I'm currently very pleased with progress. I really like the look of that, and it's very malleable at the moment. I've got this Tocanoli cream, which seems to be the favourite. It actually says it's for Leathercraft. I thought it was some sort of face cream that just happened to work well with leather. Or maybe face cream for the older lady. And so I'm going to sorry, I don't not usually. I think that's quite a good joke for me. I'm going to put this on the edge, give it, and get my £1 eBay tool on the go and see how that comes out. And then I'll have a go attaching it to the axe, where I'll stitch it temporarily into place, let it dry, and then hopefully it'll just come off, maintaining its shape. So I'll just sort of almost like a clip onto the axe shaft, where I can then let it dry off the axe and then give it some nice protection and a shine as well. Right, I have never done anything like this before, but it seems to really make the leather come up nicely. Well, this stuff, absolutely useless, so the temporary measure, bit of cord. Neat little bow just so that I can untie it again. So I'm going to take this off, have a bit of a play around with it. I'll probably retighten it. See how that goes. Look at that, that's quite a nice finish on there, and you know, with the this nicely stitched and on there, it might be a nice combination. So I'm getting quite enthusiastic. I mean, I've been enthusiastic anyway, but I'm just quite excited about this. Good, good. I have never been so nervous. Good. Good, so what I've decided to do is not go all the way. It was too much like hard work trying to pull this thing out. You had to use a vice to pull it out, and it only just pricks through to the other side. So I decided to go halfway with these, and then I'm going to drill them out. Then I'll be confident that I can actually get the needles through when it comes to doing the saddle stitch. Next task, which is one I'm not particularly looking forward to, is because this is all in. Phew! Hello, Jim. Come on. Yes, 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 yes. I've got to talk to the camera now. Is that all right? I'm going to talk to the camera. Come on. Off you go. Right. Okay. Done a bit of work off camera, and quite frankly, I'm quite pleased with progress so far. Nearly finished, actually. I'll just show you what I've done now. Overnight, I had the collar nice and tightly fastened with these individual bits of cord. Taken these out now, and it's turned into this nice, well, I used the handle as a bit of a former really, and it shaped it nicely. So what I'm going to do now is take these out, these bits of cord, and then give this a really good polish up. First of all, protect it, get the hairdryer on it to get the wax soaked in. Much the same with this, I'm now going to put a stud fastener on there. They look different shades at the moment. Frankly, if they stay different shades once I've done all the protection and the polishing, I don't care. They're just, you know, I think it just adds to the fact that it looks homemade, and I've taken a lot of reasonable pride in what I've managed there as a first attempt at any leathercraft. The dog attacks itself. So I'll get on with these last bits and come back to you with the finished product. Folks, we've done it. With some polishing and where's my Carnauba cream? I'll have a look at that. Anyway, a bit of polishing now. Wife's hairdryer is broken, so I've had to use mine. That's coming up really nicely.